Last Sunday, 15 people were killed and more than 40 others were injured after two gunmen went on a rampage on Sydney's Bondi Beach. The shooters targeted a crowd gathered to celebrate the Jewish religious festival of Hanukkah. While messages of solidarity poured in from across the world, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and several Israeli officials were quick to blame the anti-Semitic attack on Australia's recognition of Palestinian statehood.
Your call for a Palestinian state pours full fuel on the anti-Semitic fire. It rewards Hamas terrorism. It emboldens those who menace Australian Jews and encourages the Jew hatred now stalking your streets. I call upon you to replace weakness with action, appeasement with resolve. Instead, Prime Minister, you replaced weakness with weakness, and appeasement with more appeasement. Your government did nothing to stop the spread of anti-Semitism in Australia.
I think that the Macron initiative, together with Carney, Starmer and Albanese, to recognize a Palestinian state. Those same people who were chanting on the bridge of Sydney, from the river to the sea, globalize the Intifada, they thought that this announcement is basically an award for their ideology.
Many claim that the protest chant globalized the Intifada, a slogan calling for international support for Palestinian resistance against Israel's occupation, incites the kind of violence against Jews that we saw in Bondi last weekend. Australian Prime Minister Antony Albanese rejected Netanyahu's claims.
He singled you out personally, he said, for pouring fuel on the anti-Semitism fire by recognising a Palestinian state. Do you accept any link between that recognition and the massacre in Bondi?
No, I don't. And overwhelmingly, most of the world recognises a two-state solution as being the way forward in the Middle East.
The Israeli accusations drew condemnations from activists and rights groups, including UN Special Rapporteur on Human Rights and Counter-Terror Ben Saul, who said he was disgusted that Netanyahu linked Australia's support for a Palestinian state with the Bondi terrorist attack.
As a Jewish Australian, I was, I guess, unsurprised, but frankly outraged at the Israeli government. It's hard not to feel a real degree of disgust and frustration and shamelessness at the Israeli government. A government, by the way, that has spent the last 2.5 years committing genocide against Palestinians, committing mass crimes, mass killing, torture.
Several global media outlets gave platforms to pro-Israeli Zionist writers, all echoing Israel's attempts to conflate violent anti-Semitism with support for Palestine.
They're well aware of the fact that the image of Israel in the West has tanked. Particularly young Americans and Brits and many in Europe and also here in Australia see what Israel has been doing in Gaza on their phones every day. The slaughter, the killing, just the destruction, the fact that Gaza no longer exists, really. They are desperate to reframe the narrative, change the subject, to somehow get back on the front foot. It's all about PR.
Australian police say the two shooters appeared to be inspired by Islamic State ideology. A car registered to one of the gunmen contained improvised explosive devices and two homemade IS flags. Today, the UK's Met Police arrested two activists for chanting "Globalize the Intifada," yet another measure curbing freedom of expression and protest in Britain. The arrests came hours after police said they would start cracking down on people who repeated that slogan.
The words and chants used, especially in protests, matter and have real-world consequences. We know communities are concerned about placards and chants, such as "Globalise the Intifada," and those using it at future protests, or in a targeted way, should expect the Met or Greater Manchester Police to take immediate action. We will act decisively, we will make arrests.
In Australia, some fear they will also see their freedoms restricted by government measures in response to the attack.
What's become very clear in a matter of days after the attack in Sydney is that there are going to be some pretty profound changes to Australian society, including not entirely banning public protests, but certainly hugely restricting them, which is something I utterly and fundamentally oppose. I fear there's going to be an attempt to weaponize the fears of Jews